But hey, in this video, we're going to talk about the pros and cons to either to you loading the machine yourself, okay, versus trying to negotiate with maybe the owner of the location or the proprietor to actually put their cash in that machine, okay? And again, in this video, we're only going to talk about those two options. Obviously, there are more. I'm going to go ahead and talk about really quick loading the machine yourself. Obviously, when you load the machine with your own cash, you're going to be able to negotiate the highest possible number. The first benefit, so if you're taking notes, the first benefit is you're going to be able to negotiate the highest possible number per surcharge net to you, right? So, you know, anytime you're buying the machine and you're putting your own cash in it, I mean, excuse me, at the end of the day, you're taking all of the risk, right? You're taking all the risk. You're doing everything. You're doing all the manual labor. You're pretty much at this point doing everything. They're not doing anything. Now, with that being said, if I'm going to do everything, I don't know about you, regardless of the industry, I want to get paid the most money. So, you know, typically, and again, everything is negotiable. You know, like we talked about in other videos, you know, I think our average is we pay out the proprietor like 50 cents or something like that. Could be less, could be more. But, you know, that's typically when we're loading the cash, okay? You know, normally, you're probably not going to get land a look at a good location where, you know, they're loading the cash and everything like that, and you're still paying them 50% or 50 cents, sorry, per transaction. It's possible, right? Anything's possible, 100%, but it's probably not probable. So I think that's one of the biggest benefits to loading the cash. You know, another one, you could have credibility, right? For social media, if that's how you're landing down locations, you know, you're out there, you're loading it, you got your own cash. You're doing the dang thing, okay? You're getting experience. You're understanding what's going on. You know, I'm trying to think of other benefits of you loading it yourself. I think that's really the main one, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're making the majority. You're making the whole surcharge.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you can talk about a couple of the downsides.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the downsides are obviously you got to have a lot of cash, depending on the location. Okay, so you know, again, we talk about in other videos, but you guys have to remember that. Like everyone's always like, well, how much cash do you need? Well, look, once you own the ATM, it's subjective because if you want to fill this thing every day, if you landed a Circle K and that Circle K is red, so all you got to do is jump your back wall and you're there, then I mean maybe loading this thing every day is not a big deal for you, right? So it just depends on how much people are withdrawing. It all determines on how much money you got to put into it. Okay, so you know, but if the ATM is doing 20 or 30 transactions a day, the average transaction amount's like $20. Let's assume it's only $20, one bill. You know, just doing 20 a day, that's $400 a day, right? So in theory, you could fill that with $400 every single day, but you'd have to get there at 6 o'clock in the morning, right when it opened, and make sure that thing was full of cash for that day. You never want an ATM to run out of money, right? Obviously. So you know, now if it's doing $1,000 a day, you need $1,000 a day. Now if you want to load this thing once a week and it's doing on average $400 a day getting dispensed, then you got to do 4 times 7. Okay, so you got to put $2,800 in this thing per week to make sure you're not running out, right? If you want to load it once a month, you got to do 400 times 30. Okay, so you just have to do the math and figure out. You determine when you're the one loading the cash. You can determine how much cash you want to put into it based on the amount of transactions, the transaction amount, and how often you want to load it. Okay, it's really all it comes down to. It doesn't matter. Nothing else really matters at that point. Okay, you know, I mean, obviously the downsides are you're having to pull out cash out of the bank, right? You're having to deal with the potential bank, you know, not liking that a whole lot. You know, you're having a little bit of risk and liability. You're driving around town with some cash potentially. Again, you know, you could look at everything as a pro or a con. Okay, you know. And at the end of the day, you're going to have cash in the bottom of an ATM where, you know, obviously you're going to have to factor in insurance and stuff like that, which we have a whole section on the insurance videos. But, you know, there are some scenarios where the insurance of the proprietor covers the unit, but not the cash, okay? Now, obviously there are insurance companies out there that will cover the whole thing and the cash in transit. But, you know, maybe you don't want to do that or pay that extra overhead, and that's totally fine. Maybe you just want to take the risk. Hey, something happens, the building burns down and the cash inside. Guys, again, the bottom of these safes are technically not fireproof. Now they are kind of sort of fire resistant, but you know, I mean, these are all things you got to weigh out, right? You got to think about it, and you got to really think it through, and only you can make that decision. So I think those are the majority of the pros and the cons of actually loading the cash in the bottom. And Austin's going to kind of cover, you know, the pros and cons of getting somebody else to load cash.
Yeah.
Right?
So. And again, guys, what we're talking to you guys here is we do both.
Yeah.
Like Austin and I have machines that, you know, all we do is own the hardware. We just own the real estate, right? We just own the machine, and the business or the proprietor, like he's talking about, actually loads the machines, right? Because again, him and I are nationwide. You know, we're in California, we're in Texas, we're in Florida, we're in Hawaii, we're in Washington, we're in Vegas, we're all over the United States. And so, you know, we have machines that we own and we load, and we also have machines that we just own and somebody else loads, right? So, and again, there's pros and cons to both. It depends on what you're going for. It depends on what your goal is inside of our business. Obviously, when Austin and I are starting out, our goal was to, create the highest net possible. How could we make the most money as quickly as possible? And that was going down the road of, hey, you guys buy the machine and you guys load it and offer that business or offer the proprietor, a 50-cent surcharge at a maximum. That way you guys can earn the majority of the money. And so, as we continue to build our ATM business, now again, some of you guys might be here and be like, man, well, I don't have the cash to be able to load it, but I can buy the machine. And that's totally cool, right? Start with the machine, buy the machine, right? Put it in a location and negotiate with the owner. Like Austin's talking about, it's literally just like real estate. Everything in the ATM business is negotiable, right? So you go to the barbershop, you go to the business, you go to the bar or whatever, and you negotiate, hey, because I'm gonna own the machine, because I'm gonna put a $3,000 machine here, a $5,000 machine here, some ATMs are $10,000, depending on the ATM machine. Obviously, these are just our standard machines. Once they're installed, etc., like, hey, I'm gonna install this machine in here, I'm gonna service it for you. All I need you to do is load it, and guess what? We're gonna split the surcharge. Maybe it's you split the surcharge, or maybe it's, hey, I'm gonna give you an extra $1 per transaction if you guys load the machine. So let's just say your transaction's $4. We have a lot of machines actually that, at this point we've landed the locations that we know the locations are gonna absolutely crush it. So him and I just own the real estate. Now it's just about us building our portfolio, and we own the machine. We're like, hey, listen, don't even worry about it. You guys load the machine. We don't want to drive all the way out to Cave Creek. We don't want our employee to go out to Cave Creek. We don't even want to touch it. We don't even want to mess with it. And you guys can load it. And guess what? We're going to make the surcharge $4, and we're totally down for you guys to have 50% of that, right? Now him and I are making $2 a swipe. We don't even have to do anything. All we do is go and install, and we have guys that actually install here in Arizona. We have guys that install everywhere in the United States, and some in Canada. But all we do is go and install it one time. Him and I own the machine. We own the real estate, right? And all they do is load the machine. It's beneficiary for them because they are now earning more of the surcharge. They're using their cash to load it. Him and I don't even gotta worry about it. And every single month, him and I get a check for that, right? So that is honestly a major plus to the ATM business and having and negotiating with the business to load it for yourself. Because again, him and I, of course, depending on what stages of business that you're in, if you just have a couple ATM machines and you're loading them yourself, like you realize you gotta be there. You gotta be there to load them. Like you can't let your ATMs go empty because that is an ATM machine that's not making you any money. And you didn't get into this business for a hobby, you got in this business to make money, right? Because hobbies cost money and businesses actually make you money, right? So understanding that you can't let the ATM machine obviously run out of money, then obviously you get to the point where it's like, okay, Austin, what if I don't want to be filling the ATM machines, right? Again, when you get a portfolio large enough, it financially then makes sense to be able to hire an employee, right? In later videos, Austin actually covers, how to hire an employee, when to hire an employee, and where to hire an employee at, to be able to go out there and you can trust to be able to load your guys' ATM machines, right? That's what him and I do. Him and I load only a select few of machines. Obviously, one for social media benefits, and two, it's still a cash business for us. I don't know about you, but we love cash. We like holding cash. It's fun. The pictures you can take, the things. We love $20 bills. We love the stack of $2,000 bills that Wells Fargo or all of our different businesses or all of our different banks are able to do for us. There's just nothing like the cash.
Yeah.
What I mean? So we enjoy doing it. That's why we load a couple of our machines. But hey, if you just want to build an ATM business where you don't even have to touch it, you just want to own the real estate, right? You don't even want to touch it. You don't want to load it. Him and I are now looking at our business like, okay, we got we got 2 employees that, now go out and fill our machines here in Arizona, right? We don't have to touch that. We don't have to worry about that. We know our machines are getting loaded. Hey, let's start locking down locations in different states. How we're going to pitch that is we're going to make them load it, right? We're going to split the surcharge with them. It's going to be a $4, a $3, a $5, or a $6 surcharge. We're going to split it with them. They're going to load it for us. Austin, we can go to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, and we can sit there for an entire month and not have to worry about loading our ATM machine, but yet our ATM machine is still paying us, right? So that is the largest benefit to buying an ATM machine, getting an ATM machine, and owning the real estate of the ATM machine. in being able for the business to load the money, or the proprietor to load the cash inside the ATM, because then it's a business that you don't even have to worry about it, right? The only thing you got to worry about is them actually loading it, and if it's empty, you got to get on their butts on, hey, I can't have my ATM machine empty. This thing is not in your guys' store, in your guys' location to be empty. It is there to be full. So obviously that's a downside, is you have to make sure that they are keeping your guys' ATMs full. The other downside is the obviously very contradicting part of you are earning half the surcharge, right? You're not earning as much money as if it were your money. But again, at the end of the day, if you're not starting with a lot of money, then you got to start somewhere, right? You know, $2 a transaction times 10 transactions, $20 a day, that's $600 a month. That's going to add up over 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 months, 2 years. That's going to add up. That way you can start putting your own cash into your ATM. And that's what a lot of people do, right? And then obviously there's that other side of maybe you just want to have the business where you don't actually do anything. You just own the real estate. You own the portfolio of ATMs. That way you can continue to travel. That way you can continue to go out there and have a true business that pays you while you sleep, right? Where if you're looking to have the highest volume rate, make the most money, fill your ATMs, right? Again, depending on how it looks and feels, you know, I believe a portfolio of both are great. A portfolio of both. Having those ATMs that him and I don't even have to think about, we don't even got to worry about, and we know at the end of the day, those are just continuously. We have one in San Francisco right now. We have one in San Francisco that the lady at the bar puts in $20,000 a day of her own cash, because it's convenient for her. And this machine makes her $15,000 a month. $15,000 a month, because we give her a lot of the surcharge, right? This machine makes us $400 to $500 a day on average. We own the machine, we service the machine, we do all the processing for her in the entire machine. But him and I literally sit back and earn $400 to $500 a day doing absolutely nothing. Now, if that's what you want to do, building your business, absolutely. But we prefer doing both, right? Go out in your local market, go out in your local state. Go get as many machines as you can potentially get, load them yourselves, and then start building a database of machines that you don't load yourself. Again, just depends on what you're here for. That's really it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you just got, everything's negotiable, right? So just remember, you know, don't be afraid to negotiate, and don't be afraid to start high and work your way down. Right at the end of the day, it's no different than any other industry. It's just simple sales. You're negotiating with another human being, and you know, ultimately you want to negotiate as far in your favor as humanly possible. So just always remember that. You know, obviously, always let us know if you need any help. We're happy to help you. You know, get a hold of us, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
See ya.